Well, ladies and gentlemen, after a week away in the business, we are back. Some snow's on the ground up north, but we are fortunate to go down south. Welcome back to BRP TV, the host of the Southern Tier Elite Series, iRacing's premier big block modified series here for you. We are live from Lanier in the virtual world of iRacing for a 50-lap showdown tonight for the fourth race of this Southern Tier Elite Series. I'm Joe Donahue in the booth alongside my partner in crime, Jonathan Howe. Jonathan, we come into tonight's race with a heck of a points battle brewing, and for Liz Roselli, maybe something brewing more than what she wants to see. The brothers at the top of the leaderboard. We've talked many a time about how things go when the Rosellis are together.
They are tied coming into the night in points right now. Right on top of the standings, equal 148 through 3 races. It's been an impressive run from both drivers, kind of doing it in different ways, right? Like we see that, I would say Dominic's kind of had the flashier finishes, whereas Anthony's been much more consistent with his efforts, both in heat races and in the features. But lurking there as well, Dean Reynolds, just 6 points back of our leaders. And then Gary Edwards, who started off strong and kind of had a rough week last week, is looking to bounce back. Currently sitting on top of the speed charts in this warm-up session right now. And he comes into the night tied 4th in points with Hunter Lapp. That 60 car has had a quiet, sneaky, good run of it throughout the season thus far. And then last week's feature winner, Isaac Salas, up there inside the top 10. Cody Higbee, Cole Henschel, Bo Kerbo, Matt DeRitter even with a great start to the season. Consistent season. A consistent run through 3 races will definitely place you well in the standings. But maybe it's one of these drivers that's already notched a win that gets back in victory lane in a big way. Or maybe it's Gary Edwards who comes in with 2 second-place finishes, can break through for a win, and he can wrestle that title away or wrestle that lead away in the championships away from one of the Roselli brothers. Joe, it's going to be interesting, and I thought last week the points couldn't get any tighter, and then they tightened up further, and I kind of feel like we might be in for another night where we see maybe some surprises, maybe some guys who step up and make a difference in the long-term battle for the championship here.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's been kind of a back-and-forth go of things to start off this season, but we got through last week and we saw Isaac Salas take the victory, and with a racetrack like this, now I will say Lanier is very different, so it's just bringing a whole curveball into this. Conventionally, we started off with Volusia. We started off going from there to Port Royal, and then last week at Lucas Oil, which isn't the biggest racetrack on the planet, but it is kind of raced that way a little bit. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what kind of comes of tonight because it's so different, but I'm still kind of stunned. The Rosellis up front, but that's okay. It's the Southern Invasion 50 here from BRP TV from the Southern Tier Elite Series, and we'll have to wait and see. Now, Jonathan, we've got Cody Higbee on the screen. I know Matt DeRitter is somebody I look forward to tonight, but I don't know if you remember yourself. I have no recollection of the last time we came here who took the victory. Do you?
Not off the top of my head, but I might be able to quickly grab it looking at the stats. Cody Higbee, I think he's one of the drivers that we've been kind of waiting for a breakthrough from. He has been so dominant in some of the other leagues that we have been a part of and broadcasted in the past, but it's kind of tough to believe that Cody hasn't made more noise throughout the season. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say, looking back at, I believe this is 23-24, Kenny Coe actually topped a trip to Lanier that we had in a previous season ahead of, Cody Higbee with a podium spot in that season. So, look, Joe, there's a chance that we're going to see a breakthrough from somebody new. I was impressed with what I saw from Hedges in that practice session. There's a couple other drivers that were maybe a bit of a surprise to see turn a fast lap. But Kenny Coe, he might be the one to watch as somebody who's maybe been a bit of an outsider on the points standings thus far, if he's going to make the call for this one, which I did not see him take a time. So I don't know if he's a late to join or if we'll see Kenny Coe at all tonight.
I do not see him on the board either, Jonathan. It looks like he's going to maybe be a no-show. Only 22 drivers showed up for Lanier tonight. That is the lowest number we have seen so far this season as the first times go up on the qualifying board 5 minutes in this session for the drivers to hit their best of 2 laps. Currently up at the top of the leaderboard is the Reese's number 24, and just as I say that, he gets beat out by Cody Higbee. So the Iceless number 97 jumps up quick, and then Gary Edwards, who was fastest in practice, goes to the top from there. Isaac Salas does not look like he made the call tonight either, but he was previously three-peating the fastest driver in qualifying. So for the first time this season, he will not be the fastest driver in qualifying, but we'll see if any of the rest of this field can do anything about that. We got Anthony Perego back after missing last week. That is certainly a car that we could see go to the top.
Yeah, absolutely. I would expect a lot from Anthony tonight. It really does come down to qualifying. The one thing that I will say with the thinner field that we've got tonight, Joe, is that we shouldn't be running a B main, I don't believe. Or if we are, it's just simply to set the field. Nobody's going home. So there's not as much pressure to maybe slip up in one of those heat races and cost yourself, but I still think you want to be towards the front of the field, hang on to track position. It's not going to be the deal breaker that it's been in the past, but I certainly think that a good starting spot can really set you forward. And look at that, Anthony Perego tops the board ahead of Edwards, Higbee, and Roselli.
Dominic Roselli up there as well, and we jump over into the first heat race of the night. There's going to be 8 drivers in it, so expect 3 heat races out of this evening. And last time out, I said I had a nice surprise for Jonathan, and then I surprised him with it not working. This time, it's fixed. Oh,
look at that.
Look at. I'm not saying I'm good. I'm just saying that the starting grid works now again. So that's really cool. Jonathan, since you can see it,
event.
Since you can see it, Jonathan, why don't you do the honors of bringing us the starting lineup for heat race number 1?
All right, let's have a look at the front row here, and it is Anthony Perego who's going to lead him to green alongside Dominic Roselli. Lining up third will be the 33 of Jesse Hedges, and fourth, Austin Smith back with us in the 14 ride. Dirk Ardeen, bit of a slow start to the evening for the driver who sits third in points coming into the night. He'll start 5th in this heat. Michael Vitale, another driver who's just knocking on the door of the top 10 in points. Matt DeRitter will line up 7th. Brendan Finley will round out your field in the 7 ride. So, Joe, 8 cars, pretty stout little heat here. I got to say, there are no slouches in this one, and there are some good bonus points on the line. Let's see who can come away with a good little points payout and a good starting spot coming up tonight as they get ready to take the green out of corner 4. And flag is up, pedals are down, away we go. Roselli on the outside, Perego on the inside. Who will come away with the top spot through 1 and 2 down the back straightaway? It's Perego.
Anthony Perego into turn number 3 with a slight lead. He goes down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Couple guys going way up high. If we look back further, as they come across the line, we got one backwards. Austin Smith goes around on the front straightaway, and he's going to get the 14S figured out here and pointed the right direction. So that is not going to be good for Austin Smith. Fortunately for him, just because of the way tonight started out, he will be able to get into the 50-lap main event. He's just going to have to start from the tail of it as Anthony Perego leads Dominic Roselli, Dean Reynolds, Jesse Hedges, and Matt DeRitter. So all those guys are still going to be getting the bonus points for those top 5 positions. We're just not going to send anybody to a consolation from here, Jonathan.
No, and it looks like Perego has got this thing kind of figured out front right now. Single file train. Roselli's going to sail it in there, but look how much he gives up on exit. So you can close up on entry, but this is definitely one of those racetracks where I think it's going to be really hard to run a line that provides you a lot of momentum. If you're not the lead car and not dictating where to go or where the field should go, I don't see how you're going to be able to close up right now. I think this track's going to have to get worked in a little bit, and if you're further back in the pack, I think you got to try that top side and get a handle on it as quickly as you possibly can.
Absolutely, yeah. So right now it looks like that's not quite the way things are going as the field has spread out with 2 to go here in this first heat race of the night. You're watching along with the shiny gold Dean Reynolds, number 79 right here, but we jump back to the leader. Anthony Perego goes way high there and comes back to the 1 lap to go signal presented by Precision Engine Service. Anthony Perego has controlled heat race number 1 very easily down the backstretch, Jonathan. He's got 2 corners to do it.
Yeah, you know what? If this is the rest of the field, this is a big warning shot to a guy who we saw in victory lane early, Anthony Perego. He will take the win in this heat and put himself in a great spot. Most likely, this should give him, I believe, the pole for the feature. Well, depending, actually, I guess
Well,
we're going to
don't forget that
but
invert. Don't forget that invert.
yeah, the invert will be there. That's right. So thankfully for some drivers, that might make Anthony Perego have to work a little bit more because he was bad fast. Another guy who's been bad fast all season is going to lead him to green here. Why don't you go through the order here, Joe?
Sure thing. So we got Gary Edwards, the third at the pole position. He's been fast all year. He's kind of one of the only guys who really didn't have the consistency loss in the first two races, but he will have Matthew Schultz to his outside in the Reese's number 24. That's also been a fast car this evening, so the front row definitely stacked up. Against him, we got Richard Ritchie in the 406 going from third place on the grid, back with us after missing last week. And then Anthony Roselli in the Van Sickle Electric number 7, tied at the top of the championship board, goes from fourth place. Fifth place on the board in the top 10 in points is Bo Kerbo in car 05. And then to his outside going to be Edward Owens in the 71, had a rough go of things last week, looking to do a little better this time. And back with us after a few weeks missing from the Southern Tier Elite Series, going from shotgun all on his lonesome in row number 4 is Scott Rayom. So that's your starting lineup for this second heat race of the night. First one, the Hig Fab Chassis heat race winner the first time around, and then we'll see who is the second one to Anthony Perego. But it's Anthony Roselli in the 7, probably looking to capitalize the most, with Gary Edwards right there as well, as those guys are in the hunt for the title and need to get those bonus points. Green flag coming to you. 8 laps around. Gary Edwards and Matthew Schultz leads us past the line, and we are underway for the second heat race tonight.
Oh, bit of a trouble there for Matt Schultz. That opens the door 3 wide. Here's Anthony Roselli in the middle, and there goes Schultz back to the top side. I like trying that move, especially early in this one. And you know what? I think, Joe, the top side might be a spot where we can see some passing a little later on in the night. I don't think it's ready quite yet to be the dominant line, but I would watch for that top side, and I like that this group's getting after it early up there.
Yeah, they're definitely trying. I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens as the track ages in. You can tell by how shiny and bright the screen is right in the middle of the racetrack here that we've definitely already got a lot of track use done. So as the track gets used up even worse, the drivers are going to be searching around and trying to find extra slots of grip. We haven't really seen anybody go really hardcore deep into the inside of the turns yet, though, Jonathan. That's also something conventionally at Lanier that you want to watch out for, because once the track gets really used up, you can kind of get down to the bottom side, get the inside tires on that bottom line where we can still kind of see, like, when we hit turns 3 and 4 here again on the screen, you're going to see that little line down there where there's still some browner dirt. We're going to be looking to go there later in this one. But we're halfway through this heat race. Gary Edwards III in complete control of what's going on right now, Jonathan.
Anthony Roselli and Ritchie having a good battle there over the 3rd spot as they run. And Ritchie, I would say, is that driver that's trying to get down in that fresh stuff down on the very bottom side of the racetrack. He's come the closest anyways to hitting that line that you were talking about, Joe. And it looks like most drivers have moved off the top side now as well as they're gravitating. As I say that, here comes Anthony Roselli back through 3 and 4, right up against the boards, trying to get the momentum, and he will almost clear Ritchie. That's the one thing about this racetrack is the straightaways just aren't quite long enough to get full advantage of that momentum. But you can see that Roselli's making it work, and Gary Edwards has really been making it work out the front of this field. He'll take the win ahead of Schultz, Roselli, Ritchie, rounding out your top 4 in this one. And Kerbo gets the final point in this one.
Yep, so those bonus points go out. Hig Fab Chassis heat race number 2, easy win for Gary Edwards III. And we roll into our 3rd of 3 for these 8-lap heat races. 7 more drivers lined up with the Ice Lass number 97 of Cody Higbee going from the pole. And for everybody starting behind him, that's not good. Brian Lawson will drive the car number 57 off of the top side, sponsored by Ferris and Pine Plains Auto Body. That's a pretty good starting position for him. Cole Henschel, who came into this show storming and won at Port Royal. And the number 3 car will go from 3rd on the grid. Tyler Bowman in car 07 to his outside, the number 07, sponsored by Vertex Graphics. On the inside of row number 3, you've got Jeff Sharp in the number 28, longtime partner of all of the racing series that we've done here on BRP TV. Mike Brewer will go from the outside of him in car number 39. And rolling from 7th place on the grid, row 4, all on his lonesome, Jason Henry in car number 171. Jonathan, 7 more drivers. The track is slowly getting into form here, I guess you could say. Do you expect more of the same, or do you think we've used it up enough to start maybe having a little bit of different running through this race.
I certainly think that we're going to see drivers experiment and try some stuff. I kind of feel like if you're a little further back, maybe now is the time to get on it early and get to that top side and see if you can grab a spot or two. Some surprise, maybe somebody down into 1 and 2. You can see some drivers trying the outside, but Cody Higbee down on the bottom side is going to clear with the lead into 3 and 4, and then he'll drift up the racetrack there and kind of get a little bit of a reverse diamond going on.
And the field's still pretty well stacked together here. You're watching a battle between 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Actually put 2nd place in it as, Brian Lawson gives a little bit of a shove to Henschel. Mike Brewer there in the 39. That 07 up top is Tyler Bowman looking all the way up there. Jeff Sharp's the one going way to the bottom side in the number 28. It's contact between the 39 and the 07. Maybe Jason Henry gets involved. Not quite, but it's spaced out just a little bit as a result of that, Jonathan.
Yeah, and the big winner in that exchange, Jeff Sharp, he is moving forward. He has moved up a couple of spots now. He's up on the podium side of things, trying to make a challenge at Henschel. Henschel's got it pretty dialed in right now on the outside. He'll drive off away from Sharp, and there's Lawson in the 57 as everybody's still chasing Cody Higbee.
Cody Higbee, the only driver really out of harm's way in this heat race, as he's just been running the top side of the racetrack, trying to steer clear of the rest of the field. That Iceless number 97's been good here in the past, been good at a lot of racetracks in the past, actually. That's kind of a blanket statement for these modified races, but Cole Henschel came in strong this season. Not really challenging, but definitely still keeping Cody Higbee honest, as they just got the 2 to go. Next time by, going to be the 1 to go, presented by Precision Engine Service for Cody Higbee. And he's still running up at the top side, like you said, Jonathan, but I don't think he's really got much of a challenge potential, sparing a mistake.
No, he's got it pretty dialed in right now, and you know what? I would just let this thing ride, keep it nice and smooth through 3 and 4, and come home to that checkered. Cody Higbee hopefully going to be able to parlay this into some winning efforts later on tonight, or at least another podium for that 97. Cole Henschel looking to get back to victory lane as well. And how about Jeff Sharp? Great run, finishing in 3rd there in the 28. He has quietly had a very consistent year, and that is just a few more points deposited in the bank. And we'll see how this is going to play out for this. I believe they're going to a consolation race now just to set the back half of the field.
Interesting. Okay, so what we weren't really expecting here in the broadcast booth, but it looks like, so when you go through iRacing, I'll explain what's going on here a little bit more. So when you go through iRacing, you are given the option when you set up a racing series, like an event you're hosting, to have the consolation be in effect no matter what, or to only be necessary when you're qualifying in drivers. And by the looks of things, it looks like we've decided to go with the route where we're not going to be eliminating anybody out of the consolation. We're just going to be setting the start positions for the main event 50-lap feature race. So we've only got 7 drivers in it, but we're going from the pole with Brendan Finley in the J7 car, scored as the 007. You've got Scott Rayom on his outside in black and red. Then you've got Mike Brewer in the 39. Michael Vitale in the 213, that's row number 2. Row number 3's got Edward Owens in the white number 71, alongside the number 171 of Jason Henry, and then Austin Smith in that 14S. Going to be looking at an opportunity here to regain some of what he lost in that little incident on the front stretch during his heat race. So 7 drivers are going to take 10 laps here, Jonathan, and then we are going to have the field set. We'll go into that warm-up session, and then we'll get 50 laps. But the green flag's going to come out at the hands of Brendan Finley as he sets them off, and we are underway.
Hey, you know what? This is a great opportunity to learn something about this racetrack, get a few more laps in, figure out your lines, figure out what you want to do to make this thing fast come feature time, and how you can get yourself from the back to the front. So if I'm one of these drivers, I'm enjoying this. I'm running this as a practice session. I am running this as a practice race, and I'm going to figure out where I can get my car to work and make some passes. And you know what? I'm liking what I'm seeing. Good battling from about second on back. Maybe even we're going to see a challenge from the lead here as Finley coming under fire from Brewer.
Yeah, Mike Brewer goes to the inside, and that is definitely showing that the inside of the racetrack is in play for the feature. Scott Rayom bouncing off the wall up there in 3rd and 4th place. He's battling with Michael Vitale in the light blue number 213 right there. Scott Rayom was driving with us last year, the FTM Express number 4 on the outside right now, and both of them get a nice run into the corner on Mike Brewer. It's that thing you said, though, earlier, Jonathan, about getting into the corner so fast and then not getting the run off, and that looks like what happened in turns 3 and 4 that past time.
Yeah, I think there's a temptation when you're behind the wheel like this, there's a temptation to kind of sail it into that corner, try to draw even or try to draw a bead on the guy you're chasing in front of you. And then all of a sudden you're panicked because you're like, oh, I got to make a turn here. I got to make sure this car rotates. That's where you give up all that speed. So I think the trick is going to be who can find a way to consistently get through the corners without scrubbing speed off. Enter and exit with a steady pace and try not to lose too much through the middle of it. And I think we're seeing some drivers figure it out better than others. Right now, Brewer, I think, is doing the best job at it. He's trying to get it rotated down on the bottom side and maybe steal this win away and maybe take this lead away. Just laps are winding down.
Oh, Brendan Finley. Yep, that's the nose right there for Mike Brewer out down the back straightaway. It looks like the bottom side's coming into form nicely. 2 to go at the stripe for the 39, and Michael Vitale might also try to capitalize here and go around that J7 machine as they come back to the back straightaway. A lap and a half to go, and the white flag presented by Precision Engine Service will be shown first to Mike Brewer with those lovely painted rims on the side, Jonathan.
Yeah, you know what? I'm liking what I'm seeing from Finley. He's trying his best to enter higher and higher, but I think if you're going to truly keep it wound up around the top side, you've got to be like almost right against the boards from the minute that you turn in, and that is a tall task at a tricky place like Lanier. But learning has been done. Brewer takes the checkered flag ahead of Finley. Vitale, who came into the night 11th in points, looking to get up there early in this one. We'll see what Vitale can do to bounce back after being in the Consi race. We'll see what all those drivers have coming up in about 5 minutes or so from now. But we cannot do this show alone. Joe, who do we have to thank for tonight's broadcast?
Sure. So we have a lot of sponsors and partners here from both sides, the BRP TV side and from the Southern Tier Elite Series that we have to give a shout out and thank. And the first one is Cacti Fabrication. Cacti Fabrication is the presenting sponsor of the inaugural Southern Tier Elite Series season, and they will be presenting the Cacti Cup to our champion at the end of it. We thank them for supporting this series and bringing them out for their 10-race calendar. BRP TV, that's us. Your go-to for all live coverage of the Southern Tier Elite Series is here on the BRP TV YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notifications for when we go live. Haig Fab Chassis, the modified gurus at Haig Fab Chassis, are presenting the heat race wins for every event this season. They're based out of upstate New York, and you can check them out on Facebook if you're looking to get into or step up your game in dirt modified racing. Precision Engine Service, located in Middletown, New York, specializes in providing high-quality rebuilt engines and engine components. Precision Engine Service ensures quality and reliability in their stock replacements for your high-performance engine. Savage House Performance. The iRacing team Savage House Racing embodies the working man spirit of the Southern Tier Elite Series and is excited to present this series. You can follow all of their homegrown action and their drivers on their Facebook page. Just find Savage House Racing there. Vertex Graphics, presenting sponsor for the series, also on the side of the 07 for Tyler Bowman. They are sponsoring and presenting with Southern Tier Elite Services, and we thank them for coming on board very late into this, before the season. We've got MDR Designs and Murder Graphics, the go-tos for custom graphics, so Murder Graphics on the racing side, MDR Designs on the professional side. You can get in contact with Matt DeRitter through mrdrgraphics.com for Murder Graphics and from mdrdesignsllc.com to learn more about what he can provide to you for your racing side or your business side. The Inkvine Company, looking to grow your business with custom websites or capture a local audience. The Inkvine Company can do that, and you can explore the right options for your business with them by reaching out to them at inkvineco.com. Creative Turnings, based out of Connecticut. Creative Turnings offers wood and acrylic household items such as pens, bowls, candlesticks, and much more. You can go to Facebook to check them out and see what kind of great gift giving and home decor options are available from them. 47 Technology, developed at home. 47 Technology is the hookup for 3D printed ornaments, trophies, diorama accessories, and more. Check them out on Etsy to see what's in stock to trick out your holiday season. And the Southern Ontario Dirt Show is a podcast hosted by our own Jonathan Howe, available on all streaming platforms. Listeners can expect to find interviews with some of the biggest names in dirt modified, sprint car, and other local stock car series from Southern Ontario. The show will be launching in a new format in the not too distant future, so you're going to want to stay tuned to check that out. And as we say that, we got the hurry up in the warm-up session, so it was only a 2-minute warm-up for the drivers. You saw them on your screen as we were going. And we can bring you the starting lineup for this one, which we'll probably have to hit pretty quickly, Jonathan, but I'll give you the top 10 to read them off.
There it is. All right, starting from pole, Anthony Roselli coming into the night with the points lead, tied with his brother. Dean Reynolds lines up alongside third in points going into tonight. Cole Henschel trying to get back to the victory lane, starts third. Matthew Schultz with his best effort on the starting grid. That 24 car will line up fourth. Dominic Roselli will line up fifth, tied with his brother Anthony Roselli. We've been mentioning that quite a bit tonight. Should be an interesting watch. Cody Higbee settles back to sixth after the inversion. Gary Edwards, the third, will line up seventh in that 21 ride. And Anthony Perego lines up eighth in the 4 car tonight. Jeff Sharp, he'll line up ninth in the 28. Jesse Hedges lines up 10th in the 33 ride.
Going back to 11th, you've got the 406 of Richard Ritchie III. To his outside is going to be the 57 of Brian Lawson. You go back to row 7, you've got Matt DeRitter alongside Bo Kerbo, 2 drivers in the top 10 in points, looking to get a little bit higher up. Then you've got Tyler Bowman in the 07, aside Mike Brewer in the 39 from our consolation race. Brendan Finley starts 17th. 18th will be the 213 of Michael Vitale. Starting from 19th, the FTS Express of Scott Rayom. Starting 20th is Jason Henry in car number 171. Then you've got Austin Smith and Edward Owens aside of each other in the final row on the grid. 50 laps on the board from Lanier, and we are ready to go. The Southern States Invasion 50 is in the hands of Anthony Roselli, and it is underway here at Lanier into the first corner. The sun's going down. We're kicking up dirt. And Dean Reynolds is shining bright on the outside. They're getting into contact with Cole Henschel.
Hard racing for the second spot. Henschel trying to take it. Meanwhile, more than a few drivers migrating up to the high side of the racetrack. Cody Higbee was the highest I saw out of the front runners. Everybody chasing Anthony Roselli right now is Henschel trying to make the move. Stick on the bottom side to clear past dirt car Dean, and he will do so. And how about the slider? Dominic Roselli throws on the 24 Reese's car.
Roselli was not waiting around. He wants to get up there quick, or at least get out of the melee behind. Is Gary Edwards III running aside of Cody Higbee right there? You can see them. Perego and Gary Edwards sort of side by side. Jeff Sharp running down there as well. Matthew Schultz rounding out your top 5 right now as we're 3 laps into this one. Dominic Roselli up to 4th, but his brother Anthony, looking to take over control of the championship, has a pretty good look at things as he is leading right now.
Yeah, a lot of pressure at the backside, though, as Cole Henschel right in the tire tracks of Anthony Roselli. And we see the rest of the field go by there as Anthony Roselli has a little bit of a connection issue, I believe, maybe on that 7 car.
Yep. That is exactly what just happened. I think Anthony Roselli just dropped out of the session. Something just happened with the 7 car on the technical side. And we've got cars around. Yellow flag is out.
Weird little moment there, but maybe a caution can catch everybody's breath and catch our system's breath too, as Anthony Roselli dropped out for a second there, but you can see his car respawned right back at the front of the field. So he was still in the session, but we lost track of him for a second. And then we'll have to see what happened here with Mike Brewer, who was a driver that I thought maybe could be one of those sleeper picks tonight in that 39 ride. I liked what I saw from him earlier in the night, and not the way that he wanted his evening to go.
Yeah, we're just getting this set up so we can go back to the replay. That's not the replay, my bad. All right, let's see what goes down with the 39 car. It is going to be contact from Bo Kerbo behind, actually almost looks like net code. And then into the corner, you can see that the sun is going down. And then actually that's DeRitter into Brian Lawson, and Lawson checks up, and then Brewer gets kind of sandwiched from the both of Kerbo and Lawson. And then Tyler Bowman into the side of him. The 07 stuck in there. Austin Smith is involved in this as well. Fairly tame, Jonathan. Not great, but could be worse, I'd say.
I would say could be worse. That really could have been big. I think that's one of the things that, we haven't seen a lot of action from the back of the pack so far tonight. We've been, lucky to have some good battles up front, but I think the further back you get, the more on top of each other this field is, and that's where you really see things get a little bit sketchy at times. You can see Anthony Roselli, that 7 car, back in it at the front of the field, so maybe just a momentary glitch in the game, but he will continue to be the leader as far as I can tell.
I think they're still working on figuring out what happened, because usually in iRacing, you don't have somebody lag out that long. That was a solid lap that the 7 car was not on the racetrack, and that just based off of what happened, I'm anticipating that was on his end long enough that the game of iRacing did not realize what was going on, but they've given him a wave around to give him that lap back, and then they're going to also get him up to the front again. So you are correct, Jonathan. He will have the race lead back, but he was pretty lucky that that incident came when it did, or I think he would have been stuck a lap down for a little while on timing and scoring.
Yeah, it would have been hard for us to reset it all under green, but speaking of green, we're coming back to it. Anthony Roselli will lead him to the green. And look at Henschel trying to get down in front of Dirk Cardine, and that's not going to happen. Reynolds is not lifting. He's not budging. Good battling there between Dirk Cardine Reynolds in the 79 and the 3 of Henschel. Henschel not willing to give an inch, and neither was Dean Reynolds, and they're still battling it out over second and third. And here comes Gary Edwards on the bottom side in that 21 ride. He's moving forward in the Interstate Batteries machine.
Yeah, don't forget that Dean Reynolds is third in points right now, too. He's definitely going to want to stick it up there and stay clear. We got a bit of a slew here between 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, even back to 9th and 10th. Perego stuck in between Jeff Sharp and Dominic Roselli as D-Rose hits the outside wall in the Van Sickle Electric number 80, and the rest of them are trying to migrate down to the bottom, but we're still 2 wide down there, or even 3 wide, depending on where Dominic's running. Perego gets a little bit of a lunge, and he will clear the 28 of Jeff Sharp.
Yeah, Matt Schultz here doing his best to stay up inside the top 5 as there are some fast competitors knocking at the back door. Anthony Perego has been kind of just quietly, methodically moving through the field. I've liked where he's able to run, which is pretty much anywhere that his competition is not running. Anytime he needs to find some clean air on the nose, he can do that. Clean racetrack in front of him. He doesn't have to commit. Oh, no, that's going to be big problems. Dominic Roselli, points leader coming into the night. He's in trouble in a big way as they have a stack up here. And
yellow flag is out.
There's the caution. There it is. Okay.
Yellow flag is out. We kind of saw that brew on the screen. We'll get a replay back of that and check out once more sort of in slow-mo what happened to the number 80 of Dominic Roselli, as that was a tough break from him. It was Richard Ritchie and Matt DeRitter getting into things a little bit, but let's hit this replay button back and try to get a view of what's going on here. We're going to be a little bit backed up from where this starts, but the 3 cars you see on your screen right here are the 3 cars involved in this one, Jonathan. We'll switch camera angles, and we are going to have to stall a little bit to get through 3 and 4, and then you're going to see what happens with Ritchie. A little bit sideways. That's really where it starts there, Jonathan.
Yeah, you can see Roselli's way up on the outside. DeRitter and Ritchie. Ritchie's going to try to wash up the racetrack. He is not clear, and he will hook himself on DeRitter and just nowhere for Roselli to go, and he gets pounded into the wall like that. That's not great for him. And looks like pretty much the rest of the field's going to miss him. So that's kind of lucky for a lot of the drivers running towards the middle and back half of the field. But mostly a single car deal and a tough break for one of our championship leaders coming into the night. I mean, I wouldn't say Dominic's out of it with, still 38 laps on the board to go, but not what you want. And I think that's the danger of running up on that high side of the racetrack, Joe, is that if something does slide up in front of you, there is nowhere for you to run and hide. But I do think the speed is on the outside, and we see Cole Henschel get to it early as he's trying to mount a charge on Anthony Roselli for this top spot.
Yeah, so he gets back around Dirk Cardine Reynolds for second place, and he's got a nice run here as Anthony Roselli will lead us back to the line again. But Henschel definitely has the speed in that advanced concrete number 3 car. To the outside he goes, maybe showing the top side starting to become the dominant place to go. Anthony Roselli right there in the screen. He stays sort of middle. Henschel gets up into the wall pretty hard. Gary Edwards is following around back there. If we jump back to that 21 car, he is making time up by being up there. He's making those passes. There's Perego in the 4, Matthew Schultz in the 24, and that's that run into the corner you talked about before, Jonathan, except he can kind of rubber band off of that grip up there.
Yeah, it's really working for Edwards right now. He seems to be the driver that can do that line the best right now. It's not advancing him forward as much as I thought it would, as though he is clear now of that 24 ride. but the way that Reynolds is running, Henschel, and our leader, Anthony Roselli, Edwards has got some work to do if he's going to make it all the way up to the high side of the racetrack and make it to the front side of the racetrack and front side of the field. Cody Higbee briefly flirted with the outside. He dives back to the inside as he's trying to make a move on Perego, and now Matthew Schultz is trying to make a challenge back on the 21 for the 4th spot behind Dirk Cardine.
We're going to get a nice onboard here and get a front row seat to this little battle as we ride with Jeff Sharp down on the bottom side of the racetrack. He's been hunting down low the entire time, and from earlier on in the night, I would say Jeff Sharp's probably a little bit of a bottom feeder at this racetrack. He seems to like it down there. He's holding strong pretty well right now, staying inside the top 10, but you can see even with Jeff Sharp, he's not quite, what am I going to say, maybe a half lane up from the bottom, maybe even a full lane up from the bottom, where he's still got space down there where you can dig in a little bit more, but Jeff Sharp isn't quite down there yet.
And you can see it and you can hear it, Joe, where it's so hard to get the car hooked up on the bottom side of the racetrack to really drive off and get some momentum towards your competitors in front of you. The bottom just bogs you down so much, but it is the shortest way around the racetrack. Look what Anthony Perego is able to do right there underneath Cody Higbee. Great view of that battle, and it just keeps getting tighter as they both work past Schultz. Now Schultz not giving up in that 24 ride. Up front, though, Higbee has cleared and looks like he might be able to drive away a little bit from Perego out of that corner.
And Perego holds on to P6 right there. We jump back up a little further to see Gary Edwards fighting with Dean Reynolds for the final podium spot right now. That Interstate Batteries number 21 has 2 podiums so far this year. Dean Reynolds still looking for maybe a run into a podium spot, but he's got all gold on it in the 79. This is a nice little battle here. And then Cole Henschel still putting a lot of pressure on your leader, Anthony Roselli, but Anthony Roselli has not had the actual contention from that 3-car of a side-by-side pass, at least not yet, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes because he is definitely not going to go away. Anthony Roselli, if he's going to lead the whole way through this as we come past halfway, he's going to have to watch the 3-car. Well, if he has his mirror turned on, he'd have to watch it. He's going to be under pressure the whole race no matter if he stays out in front or something happens, I think.
Yeah, you know what? We haven't really seen Anthony Roselli have to be on the offense right now, so I would play as much defense as possible to stay out in front because we've seen it where if you give up the lead, it is really hard to A, get back to the lead spot, and B, it also opens you up to be caught by your 3rd place, 4th place runners, which I think if Gary Edwards could find a way by Dirk Cardine, I think he's fast enough to run down these top 2, but he just has not been able to work past Dean Reynolds, who is doing such a good job of keeping that 21 car pinched down. There's no room for Edwards to really mount that drive off. This time, though, gets a little bit better. Drive up alongside. Reynolds keeps him pinched down once again, trying to keep it clean as Edwards. And look at the run from the outside as here comes Cody Higbee closing in on this battle for the 3rd spot.
Oof, Dean kind of slowed it down in the middle of the corner right there and cocked it in for the exit of turn number 4, and he almost came across the nose of Gary Edwards, and that's Cody Higbee coming into the picture now, going deep to the inside in the 97 car, and he is not going to quite get it, but, well, it was close. Cody Higbee in the picture, and Anthony Perego is there as well. Dirk Cardine Reynolds, he's got a slew of really good drivers behind him, and he's going to have to figure out what can he do when he's got 3 cars coming at him. Gary Edwards up into the wall. Yeah, that wasn't good.
That's Edwards being frustrated with Reynolds. He is doing all he can to find a way to work by this 79 car, and he just has not been able to do it cleanly, and he's trying to do it cleanly to his credit, but Reynolds is not really giving him much option. I think whoever gets to the inside of Reynolds is basically going to have to clear themselves up in front, maybe make a little bit of contact, bang Nerf bars, and see if you can get by him, because I think Reynolds is really starting to hold this battle up, but it's just too hard to make passes right now anywhere but the bottom side of the racetrack, especially with where Reynolds is running.
Well, do you think that's something that you can be a little patient and wait for if you're Gary Edwards right now, or is that something that you've got to work on now? It looks like if everybody keeps kind of running down on the bottom and feeding around like they are, eventually the top side's got to come in, right?
I think it's a shame that Higbee just went up to the high side because I think Higbee was actually going to be the best friend of Edwards. I think if somebody, there it is, now he's clear, now he should be able to set his sights on tracking down the leaders. But I was going to say, if somebody can get to the inside of Reynolds and make him have to maybe miss his line a little bit, now you see Reynolds go back up to the top side of the racetrack. That opens the door. Here comes Perego down low. Now Cody Higbee going to try and enter right on the quarter panel of the 4 car and see if he can follow him by. But I think now that Reynolds is pushed up to the high side of this racetrack, I think this is where you're going to start to see this train of cars that's stacked up behind him start to clear, and that's exactly what's happening. Perego on the outside of Dirk Cardine, down low, Cody Higbee trying to make something happen. And is that Jeff Sharp? Yes, it is Sharp that's lurking there as well. He's been very steady Eddie in this race in that 28 car, working towards having a very respectable finish. Meanwhile, up at the front, we've been watching this great battle from third on back. Cole Henschel has gotten around Anthony Roselli, and he is driving away. Not drastically, Joe, but enough to make a little bit of breathing room behind him.
I think relative to what we've been seeing in this race, I would consider this driving away from Cole Henschel right now as we come through, and we're getting down 10 laps to go in this race. Cole Henschel has taken over the race lead pretty well over Anthony Roselli. That's about a 0.7 of a second gap between himself and the 7 car. He's got the 71 lapped car of Edward Owens in front, or not lapped yet, but very shortly to be. Lap traffic going to play a factor in here at Lanier as we come inside of 10 laps to go now. Want to do a check-in on Anthony's brother as well, as you see Henschel get by the 71 car. Dominic Roselli just very patiently and slowly has been ticking off cars to get himself further up towards the front. He came into tonight tied for the championship lead with his brother, and he very easily is going to lose that right now. He's currently sitting in 14th place. Jesse Hedges in the 33 is the next car on his list.
No, this is not the night that Dominic Roselli wanted to have. He's going to lose a lot of points to the front runners here, but hey, you know what? That drop race might come in handy a little later on if he can utilize that for the right way and not have to miss anything on the schedule. But Cole Henschel right now, he's got himself figured out at the front of this field. He is going to be the driver, I think, that maybe this championship is going to have to go through, because now we're talking about not just 1, but 2 feature wins in the first 4 races, which nobody has repeated yet. We've seen a different winner each week. You know, Gary Edwards was fast early. He had a couple of second-place finishes in a row, and he'll have another podium, it looks like, tonight as things stand, unless he gets a challenge for that 3rd spot. But Cole Henschel, I think, is really establishing himself as the driver to beat. And you know what, Joe? I feel like it's kind of weird to say that, because Anthony Roselli probably is still going to do enough to leave with the points battle, but the points lead. But Henschel, I don't know. I've loved what I've seen from this 3 car in his 3 events so far.
Yeah, and with 3 laps to go, that number 3 car is still holding on to the lead. And one thing we do have to note about the points we see when we bring up the standings is that they include all of the races, and there is a drop week calendar. Drop your worst race. Cole Henschel's worst race is not showing up. Anthony Roselli's worst race is still in the top 10, so once that comes into play, a whole different factor comes into it. But we got 1.5 laps to go for the Advanced Concrete number 3, and he will come to the line to get the white flag. 1 lap to go, presented by Precision Engines. No, oh my God! Ah! No,
caution,
it's a yellow.
Waves.
It is a caution, and it is Richard.
I saw that car.
Yep. Good catch, Jonathan.
I was like, are they going to let this thing go to the white with the car spinning? And I was like, wow. Well, this just changes everything that we were just talking about.
Yeah, it does. Well, we're going to catch the replay back here of the 406 car. Jesse Hedges in the 33 there, getting into the back of him a little bit there. That East Coast Industrial Services car is going to be the kind of the factor into what happens in 1 and 2. But you've got Brian Lawson on the inside right there as well in the 57 with Ferris on the side. And then right here is where you're going to see it. So the 57 and the 33, are they going to lean on each other? It does not look like it. It just looks like it's that classic, the leading car.
See, the caution's already out, Joe. The caution's already out. It's actually, this came out after the caution. The caution was further back in the field.
Oh,
in 3 and 4.
Hold on. Let's see if we can find it then.
I know it was another white car. It looks like Richie's car, but it was somebody else. It might have been, maybe it was Smith?
Let's see. Edward Owens. It must be. Could it have been? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you have the ability to go back a lap there, Joe, but because you can see, I think it's going to be this.
We got to hit. We are on the final lap of this race, actually. We got to jump back up here because Cole Henschel's coming around. And it happened too fast for us, Jonathan, as they come across the
Ah.
line. Yeah, we got so caught up on the replay there. Cole Henschel got the white flag and then the checkers there. And Cole Henschel is going to hold off a charging Anthony Roselli and Gary Edwards III and the rest of the field, trying to come across in a hectic situation right there. I guess fortunately for us, we didn't miss too much because it ends the same way it was running going into that, but a tough situation to end off the 50 laps here at Lanier. And Anthony Roselli jumps back from there. Tough that he didn't get to really contend too hard. What we can do is go back and rewatch that, as we're going to give the drivers some time to get into our broadcast booth anyway. Let's hit this back one more time here so we can just watch this back again. Jonathan, this is the restart. Cole Henschel comes off the top side, and they were single file too. That definitely had to help him.
Yeah, you know what? A single file restart at this point in the race. Gary Edwards looks like he had the best restart of the top three, but just nowhere to go, trying to find a way underneath Roselli, but wants to keep it clean, and I respect him for that for sure. And yeah, I mean, like, this is just one of those things. I think the racetrack, once you get single file here, it's too hard to try to make something magical happen on a green-white checkered finish, but or on a I guess just a white flag, one lap to go finish. But yeah, I'm still perplexed as to what happened in that previous caution too, because I saw that car go around coming to the white, and then, but I'm not sure which car it was, and then they started stacking up from there. But either way, we have our finish in the books, and that race really flew by.
Yeah, that was fast, especially with the consolation going quickly there too. I mean, is it even 9 o'clock? It's barely not 9 o'clock yet, and we get to talk to our winner. And our winner we get to talk to is, for the second time this season, taking a victory, Cole Henschel. Cole, this is Joe Donahue up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep. Yeah, I got you.
Well, Cole, it was kind of the name of the game for you was being patient through the first, I'm going to say 80% of this race, and then giving yourself the opportunity there to get past Anthony Roselli. Tell me if it was anything with the track or just learning what Roselli was doing that gave you that opportunity to get past him.
Yeah, I've raced here a lot, and I know that you can run that middle when all that brown starts to appear, and, it just helped me. And he was doing a good job protecting the bottom, and I was just lucky that I could get to his door and not allow him to slide up and grab any of that bite.
That's right. And talk to me about that bite and that racetrack, how it developed over the course of the race. It looked like from where we were sitting, the track was pretty used up from the start, but what was the development of the racetrack like throughout the race, and having somewhat of like a berm or a cushion to lean on at the top versus what was down low, still a little bit wet down there?
Yeah, early on, I was able to run that slider line and catch the bite off the corners, but I felt like it was going away. I couldn't really get the run on Anthony, and he was doing a good job coming up on the straightaways a little bit to stop any momentum. So it then got more to the bottom. Then once everybody kind of got down to the bottom, it always builds those crumbs in the middle. Sometimes you can lean on them, but you don't want to just be in them the whole time, or you'll actually slow up. You just want to catch them.
That's good stuff right there from Cole there. And we talk about what happened here at Lanier and the way this racetrack ran, but this was a completely different ball game from Port Royal, running the longest, one of, if not the longest racetracks on the calendar, and winning that, and then coming out to Lanier, which is the shortest racetrack on our calendar, and also winning here. So this, to me, shows you've got a little bit of that ambidextry that you need to put together a really good championship run for the Southern Tier Elite Series here by winning on both types of tracks.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I play this game unhealthy amount, so I'm happy that I'm actually good at it, because if I wasn't, I'd be upset with myself.
That's definitely fair, Cole. Who do you have to thank and shout out here for all the time you're putting into this sim and what it's gotten you, which is the victory of the Southern States Invasion 50?
Yeah, just me and my buddies, Matt and JB, always playing, having fun. My parents watched, and my girlfriend watched too, so shout out to all them, and thanks to Ant and Dom for putting this on, and you guys.
Very, very good, Cole. Thank you very much for being a part of it. Congratulations on the win, and we'll see if you can maybe go 3 for 5 next time.
Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
You too, Cole. Thank you. and that is your winner tonight, Cole Henschel. And then, Jonathan, it's going to be up to you to talk to our second place guy who probably isn't going to be as thrilled, but should still be proud of a second place finish, Anthony Roselli. I'll hand it off to you, Jonathan.
Yeah, Anthony Roselli comes into the night as the points leader, and he'll leave with a second place finish. Anthony Roselli, it's Jonathan up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, brother. Well, talk to me about the night. You started off strong. You led. You started up at the front. But after 30 laps, you just couldn't quite hold off Cole Henschel. What did you feel in that race car? How did the racetrack change? And what more did you need in the end there to maybe hold off Cole?
I don't really know how much more I could hold off Cole. I felt really good once I moved to the top in 3 and 4, and I felt like I was really able to like maintain him. So maybe if I would have moved up there a little bit sooner, I think maybe I could have just like held him off by just maintaining the same pace as him. But it was hard. I know he was breathing down my neck once I saw him there outside of me on that first caution. So it was just really just hit my marks, try not to make any mistakes, and then he got a good run to the outside of me, and that's how I got by. But all in all, finally put together a decent week here. Don't know how I'm leading points, but I'll take it.
Yeah, you know, you've just been kind of steady Eddie, and this is a great podium finish for you, and hopefully one that you can build some momentum on. Talk to me about, running those longer green flag runs. Obviously, the game, I feel like, probably can lull you into a sense of stability, but when you're running lap after lap after lap on a green flag run like that in the game, what does it feel like, and how much do you find yourself trying to focus on staying, I guess, for lack of a better term, awake in it?
Honestly, I kind of like it. It reminds me, especially this track and how slick it was, a lot of like go-kart racing. The track's really slowed down, so you're just really trying to stay straight, trying to stay smooth on the throttle. And that was really what I was trying to just focus on mainly, just kind of search for little patches of brown and stay as straight as I can. Luckily enough, I only got passed by one car, but it's one spot short, so.
One spot short, but still a fantastic effort.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? And the old sibling rivalry, Dominic did not quite have the same luck and same stout night that you did. So you can chalk that one up on the old chalkboard. And who do you got to thank for the drive?
I'd like to thank you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast. You guys are doing such an amazing thing for our league here. I'd like to thank Fanstick Electric, Accurate Collision, Hollywood Towing Auto, Fast Line Performance, Mobile Metals. I'd like to thank my wife for letting me spend as much time up here in the game room as more than I probably should. So I'd like to thank her and everything, and Brendan, Dom, Cody. We really working our tails off to try to produce a good league and good racing for these guys in here.
Well, enjoy this one. Another week at the front of the field and a little bit shy of that win, but watch for Anthony Roselli to be a driver to contend with all season long, Joe. Good stuff from the 7 car. We'll see what the rest of the year is going to bring. But how about our third place driver back on the podium after a bit of an off week last week?
Yep, we will get to bring in Gary Edwards III. And Gary, it's Joe Donahue up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Oh, we got Gary Edwards back in the booth after an off week last week. It is 3 for 4 on podiums for you, and I'm sure it's going to feel good after what happened last week. The battle that you had in this race to get into the podium was different than Roselli and Henschel, but good nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. Last week I was battling the flu. I didn't feel good, and obviously I didn't race good. I made a lot of mistakes, but I feel better this week. And yeah, Roselli and Henschel were kind of in their own race, and I was trying to find the right line. I thought for sure the top was going to be there more than it was, and I kind of struggled to get around Dean there. He was holding a good line on the bottom, and I started running that slider line. It seemed to work, but yeah, it was a fun race. It
was honestly probably a little bit more fun for you than the other two in the podium because you had the individual effort to get into it that, like Anthony Roselli and Cole Henschel stayed up front the whole time, but you had that fantastic race with you and Perego and Dean and Higby was in there. I mean, talk to me about that whole slum that kind of got you through the middle part of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. They were in their own race up front, and like I said, I was struggling to get around Dean. He was holding a good line, and um, I know Prego and Higby were coming. I kind of seen that, and so I started running harder in, drive through the slick, and catch the grip coming off, and ultimately it's what got me by Dean. And then I knew I wasn't going to catch the other two, so I was trying to hold on from there.
Did you feel like the racetrack had anything to do with the way things rolled tonight? With like it felt like the racetrack was maybe a little bit used up at the beginning of the feature, which was good for the racing on track, but just seeing how far into the track state we were at the beginning, did that factor into the way that you kind of stalled out towards the end of the race and not having the ability to catch up to Roselli and Henschel like you wanted maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of thought I didn't think the track was. I knew it was going to be slick, but I didn't think it was going to get as slick as it was. In the beginning, I knew it was going to be pretty bottom dominant, maybe that slider line, but I made a mistake going to the top, which almost cost me early on. Um, but yeah, it wasn't like it didn't end up like I thought it was gonna. But that's racing. That's what builds a better driver, running different lines and reading the racetrack.
That's right. Somebody who can adapt to the environment they are in, going to be primed to climb up the board, especially the points leaderboard, which you have been doing. And this third of 4 for podiums looks pretty good for you too, Gary. Who do you have to thank, shout out, and comment on here at the end of this to celebrate this third place at Lanier?
Yeah, I mean, thanks to Roselli putting a show on, and then HigFab Chassis, Persistent Engine for helping out as well. I'm looking forward to next week at Knoxville, 75 laps. I know that'll be fun. It'll be I feel like more of a conservative race on tires. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
We are as well, Gary. Thank you for coming out with us, and we will be looking forward to seeing what you can do. And if you maybe bring some fresh paint for the throwback, the costume party, if you will, at Knoxville.
Absolutely, I got one going together right now.
That's what we like to hear. Well, thank you, Gary, and congratulations on the podium.
Thank you.
And that is the end of the podium interviews there. We got all 3 of them in, and the results will come to your screen now. Unofficial for the time being, but Cole Henschel, I don't think there's really much competition for it, Jonathan. Him and Anthony Roselli had a great race tonight, and they hold up first and second with Gary Edwards third. Anthony Perego is 4th place tonight. Cody Higby 5th. Dean Reynolds 6th. And Jeff Sharp with his best run of the season so far in 7th. That whole crew, they were very strong tonight as well, but just couldn't keep up with the 7 and the 3. You've got Matt DeRitter in 8th place. In 9th place is Bo Kerbo in the 05. Rounding out your top 10 tonight will be the 213 of Michael Vitale. So going from the consolation up to 10th. That's good looks for, we're going to reset this, sorry. That's good looks for the Hard Charger Award. Matthew Schultz gets 11th out of the night, was in the top 5 for a while and just faded off at the end. Jesse Hedges in the 33 will come 12th. 13th for Brian Lawson, 14th for Mike Brewer, 15th for Jason Henry, 16th for Tyler Bowman. Then you move back to 17th, 1 lap down for the 406 of Richard Ritchie. Had a tough go of things tonight. Dominic Roselli, 2 laps down at the end of it, might have been the cause of that kind of ghost caution we had with 2 laps to go. You've got Austin Smith in there as well. There's a distinct possibility that those 2 were in it, considering that happened with 2 laps to go, and they end up 2 laps down. Edward Owens with a tough night in 20th, and then 21st is Brendan Finley, and 22nd is Scott Rayom. Both of them were early drops from this race. Jonathan, that is the final results from Lanier. And as Gary Edwards was talking about it, I considered and I wondered, do we think this was a sprint race?
Kind of feels like it in a way, man. It went by really quick, but that's what can happen when you have longer green flag runs. We had, 1 caution early in it, 1 caution late, 30-plus laps of green flag action. It's definitely not a marathon. It is a sprint for these drivers, and it took some intense focus and kind of ultimately made for a pretty interesting show. There was not a lot of dead action, I would say, especially amongst the front 5 to 7 drivers.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a great show. It was a really good race to watch. I'm glad that it came that way. But, when I think about the modified racing, and Jonathan, you're more in tune with the modified racing than I am. I'm out of central Pennsylvania, which is where the PA Posse is from, so I'm obviously a little bit more attuned to the sprint car go of things. But tonight's race kind of reflected what I'm used to seeing, and I know you guys sometimes you run like a 25 lap feature, but sometimes those modifieds run a long time, and it was great. Is that what it's like for you guys? I mean, that was pretty nice.
It really felt like a home track show, like on a Saturday night at Merrittville Speedway. Like that's kind of we run 35 laps around Merrittville, and assuming we get a relatively clean race, that's kind of how it feels. Like we can get it done really, really quickly, and even for a 50 lap feature, I think it was, right? 50 laps tonight, you get long stretches of green flag racing. And especially when there's good action on the racetrack as well, those races will go by very, very fast. And you know what? That's kind of what you hope for in a way. I think in the age of sports chasing the audience and the shorter attention spans, sometimes a nice sprint race to get you through on a Saturday night or a Sunday evening like we got here, you can't beat that.
That's right. Well, I enjoyed it very much, and I know Jonathan did aside me in the booth. I'm sure Matt DeRitter from the BRP TV side also did, and his night wasn't too terrible at the end of it as well. Hopefully Anthony Roselli, as sort of the curator of the Southern Tier Elite Series, enjoyed the show at the end of it tonight, and maybe from his side as a racer getting second place, but especially as a promoter of the series. And hopefully his mom, Liz, the boys weren't racing each other tonight too hard, so she might have not pulled all her hair out being nervous about the two of them wrecking into each other. They did not do that. Dominic Roselli did not have that great of a night, though, nonetheless. So that is the end of the show from Lanier tonight, the end of the Southern States Invasion 50. Like it was already mentioned, next time out is Knoxville, the 75-lap end of the first season. It's the midseason championship race. It is also going to be throwback weekend, so it's the costume party for all the drivers to pull out a themed, old-school, retro, whatever sort of tribute livery they want to for next time out. So you're going to want to be here with us live on BRP TV in 1 week's time to see that show. We also want to thank the other partners and sponsors of what went on tonight: Cacti Fabrication, Hig Fab Chassis, Precision Engine Service, Savage House Performance, Vertex Graphics, Murder Graphics, MDR Designs, The Ink Fine Company, Creative Turnings, 47 Technology, and the Southern Ontario Dirt Show for being part of the show tonight. On behalf of Jonathan Howe, aside of me in the booth, I'm Joe Donahue. Thank you very much for tuning in with us from Lanier, and we're very excited to bring you the mid-season championship from Knoxville next time we go live. Thank you.